I had survived the final dress rehearsal of the middle school play. It was really late at night. I was exhausted. The kids were gone. They had left this building that we called a theater a shambles. But luckily, I wasn't alone in this really spooky building by myself. I had a friend with me, and she was helping me clean up. And we decided to divide and conquer. She would go into the classroom that was serving as a dressing room, and I would go backstage. And I had just left her side, and I heard her scream. And in this building, a scream means one of two things. It means you've encountered an animal that should not be there, or you have encountered water that should not be there. So I go running into the classroom, and I can't find her. I can hear her, but I can't see her, until I go down and around, and I see that she's in this little tiny cubby space that has a toilet. And in fact, she's standing there with it gushing out over her, and she is in Crocs with no socks. Every year, she reminds me she was in Crocs with no socks, okay? And in my perspective, she's trying to stop the water with her body because she's like leaning in. And I realize she's trying to find the shutoff valve. And she's screaming, I can't find it, I can't find it. So I do the only thing I can think to do. I call the maintenance man at home, and he's pissed because it's late. And he's very condescending, and he says, just turn off the valve. And my friend is screaming, there is no valve. I can't find the valve. There is no valve. And he tells me to tell her that every toilet has a shut-off valve, right? And I know not to say that to her, and I get off the phone, and she's drenched in toilet water. And it's a very Lucy and Ethel moment. So we do the only thing Lucy and Ethel would do. We walk out and we go home. And the water's gushing, okay? Because we know the next morning that man is sheepishly gonna have to admit that there was no turn-off valve for that toilet. Because that little crawl space was never really meant to be a bathroom, just like this building that had once been a barn was never meant to be a theater, okay? When I first started working there, I was in culture shock, okay? They were so antiquated that they didn't even have a computerized light board. The little girl had to climb up a wooden ladder to a crow's nest and look out over the actors and physically move the dimmers, okay? Blocking on that stage was a nightmare because you could only bring actors on from the right. If you turned left, you walked into a wall, okay? So my partner and I got really creative about taking actors out the back of the building, around the building, through the fence that went around the pool that was connected to our building, because that's what every small theater needs, is a pool, and come in the back door and down the center aisle, which is pretty brilliant, except all my plays were in the winter. So I used to have my technical director meet the actor with the coat, throw it around the girl, pick her up, and carry her through the snow to make that entrance. And those were just the theatrical challenges, because you know, when you do theater with kids, you know there's going to be some weird stuff. That's just part of the territory. But it's not your job to have to survive the building. And my friend and I honestly felt like the building was trying to kill us. We had these like prehistoric looking flies that would hatch out every winter. Of course, we had mice. We had, at one point, feral cats chasing the mice, okay? We didn't have a lot of heat, but we had a lot of allergens. So I was always sick, and I survived every play on a combination of antibiotics, prednisone, and soft pretzels. And then there was the water dripping from the ceiling, the water that would gush under the front door and swoosh across the lobby and pool in the middle of the theater, the dressing room that was in the basement that would always flood an inch or two in the rain, and these damn toilets, okay? Every toilet in that building was incapable of handling the volume of a play. So they were always breaking, which brings me to that moment of standing Lucy and Ethel in the toilet water. I wish I could tell you that was the worst that happened to us during that play, okay? But in fact, during Tech Week, which is the most grueling week of all, we had what felt like a tsunami of rain. And my head of school came to my classroom, that is never good, and tells me that we haven't taken on inches of water, we've had feet of water in the dressing room. We've lost all our shoes and boots, we've lost some costumes, and we can't use the dressing room. But she's gone to Kmart all by herself and gotten us some big mirrors to put in the classroom to use as a dressing room, because the show must go on, okay? So honestly, by the time we were standing in that toilet water, I know we looked like Lucy and Ethel, but we felt like Thelma and Louise. And I honestly think I had post-traumatic stress, because I was the one that had to tell those poor kids that that had happened, okay? I think I still have post-traumatic stress, because I did that job for 18 years, okay? And of course, with my timing, it was the year after I left that they finally built a new performing arts building. This is the truth. Ethel went to the middle school play this year, and I kid you not, those toilets in the brand new spanking building were broken, and people had to go out to another part of the school to pee. And I was happy.